guys, this video is going to be for the 24 gauge guys out there. I'm one of them. I know a few of you guys have them, but as you probably know, they're quite rare, along with the 32 gauge. But these have a fold crimp on them, and that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do. Now, traditionally, 24 and 32 gauge is roll crimped, but again, these are fold. And the reason why I've decided to start fold crimping my 24 gauge is because, as most of you probably know, roll crimps don't lend itself very well to long haul life. You might get a second, you might get a third, but anything after that, you might have to trim your hulls down and go with a shorter shell. And these are already a 2.5 inch, so it's not really a good option there. So fold crimping will get you a lot longer haul life. You can get 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 loads out of one haul. The 3 tools I'm using to do this is, well, one of them, the GOP Universal Haul Skiver. What that does is takes away the thick edge at the hull mouth. You can see the one on the left is a lot thinner than the one on the right. This is a new primed hull, and the one on the left here is a once fired that I have went ahead and skived. And yes, you can fold crimp the unskived ones, but you might end up with a pinhole in the middle of the crimp. You may not be able to get the crimp as deep, which is what you don't want. You want nice tight crimps. The second tool I'm using is the OMV 24 gauge crimp starter. This one is 6-point. All of this stuff you can get from Ballistic Products. I believe these are about $95, and it is attached to a 4/5 inch expansion plug. And these slide up in the pre-crimp stations of the lead load all. And lastly, this is the OMV Ribacitor. We call it the rib tool. You can see right there it says rib 24. I'll show you what this does in just a moment, but again, attached to a 4/5 inch expansion plug. When you tighten these down, it expands the rubber out for a friction fit. And to finish the shell, I'm using an OMV 24 gauge crimp finisher. It's just like a GOP BN2. And for that, I'm just using a hand drill. And yes, guys, I am in my bedroom right now. But to start off with, we need to skiv this, which is really simple. It's really quick, too. And that is done. Alright, to start actually loading this, we need 17 grains of long shot, which I have coming out of this Lee Perfect Powder Measure. Thanks, Gary. For the wad, 20 gauge Clay Buster 7/8 ounce wad. These are for tapered holes. 24 gauge is straight wall. And you can see this fits 24 gauge, kind of like it's made for it. There goes my scale. 3/4 ounce of number 8 shot. Pretty much ready to fold crimp this. We'll go ahead and do that. And then, once you have it looking like this, we can finish it with the OMV crimp finisher. So, once again, when you have it looking like this, we need to use the crimp finisher. You could also use a GOP BN2, but this is all you do. And there it is. A finished 24 gauge fold crimp shell, like a factory load. Here is another, once fired, it was a roll crimp. And as you can see, that 20 gauge wad does not bulge the plastic out anywhere. This actually has a Winchester primer in it. Nice looking shell. I have a whole box of these loaded for shooting some clays. Yeah guys, a full box of 24 gauge. Shoot some clays with. And yeah, if you didn't know, Federal does offer 24 gauge. But it is just rebranded Fiocchi. Well guys, that's going to conclude this. Those OMV tools come in 9 different gauges. 8, 10, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 410 bore. I want to give a huge thanks to Martin for sending me these. So, thank you, Martin. Huge help. That's going to let us shoot my 24 gauge at some clays a lot more without having to worry about sourcing hulls. And since my wife can't do anything for 4 more weeks, this has become my temporary girlfriend.